guys, this is Taylor and I'm here today to share with you 5 nonfiction recommendations. I think we all have our reasons for wanting to read nonfiction, whether it's intrinsic motivation, we just like it, we want to read it, or we're trying to meet a certain quota or do a reading challenge or something like that. Finding appropriate nonfiction is difficult for some people, and I totally get that because a lot of it is not palatable, honestly. So I thought I'd throw out some recommendations today, and I did try and keep this to books that I've either never mentioned before on this channel or books that I've at least mentioned minimally. So the first book that I want to recommend today is Killing Dragons: The Conquest of the Alps by Fergus Fleming. So I did pick this up already having a pre-existing interest in the Alps and the mountaineering history of the Alps, but I honestly do think that this is such a well-written piece of nonfiction that almost anybody could enjoy it. This is really what it says on the tin though. It is the mountaineering history of the Alps, but really you would be surprised at the amount of drama that these dudes surrounded themselves with when it came to who was going to be the first one to climb a particular mountain. Exaggerations, the rumors that they spread about how difficult a particular route was in order to psych each other out. I just think that this is a great nonfiction title, especially as we head into the colder months. I'm pretty sure I read this in the middle of winter, and I could really see it as a good book to curl up with on a snow day or something like that. Can you tell I'm ready for summer to be over? Next up, I would like to formally recommend Fate's Worse Than Death by Kurt Vonnegut. Vonnegut is my favorite author, but I don't think I've talked about this book on this channel. And of the works of his that I've read, this one does stand out to me because, in my opinion, Vonnegut doesn't have a reputation of having a particularly beautiful writing style, but I think this is a great example of the fact that he is capable of writing very, very beautifully. So the subtitle here is an autobiographical collage of the 1980s, and I think collage is a really apt term here. This is a collection of essays that all just come together really nicely to encapsulate this time in his life. It talks about his childhood into the current politics of the 80s, and also just kind of throws out some ideas to see if they'll stick. This collection felt to me like just an open, honest conversation with someone who is very intelligent and funny and who can also occasionally be very poetic. I think this would be good if you've never read an essay collection before and wanted to try one, because they're all just strung together so well. My next recommendation is The Fortune Cookie Chronicles: Adventures in the World of Chinese Food by Jennifer A. Lee. This is a food memoir, I guess, that actually just starts out wanting to find out the origins of the fortune cookie and ends up really fleshing out the entire history of American Chinese food, its evolution, how certain things changed for American palates, or how certain dishes or practices started in America and they have no ties to China at all. If you're a takeout queen like me, I think you'll extra super love this book. And even if you're not, I think that this book is really well done and really engaging anyway. If this book had a drawback, I would say that it's actually that it took me so much longer than usual to read because it was routinely making me so hungry that I would have to set aside and literally just order Chinese food. So maybe order takeout and try and read it in one go. Next up, I want to recommend 2 books by the same author, and they are Redefining Realness and Surpassing Certainty, both by Janet Mock. Surpassing Certainty was my favorite book of 2017, but I wasn't really active on YouTube around the time that I actually read it, so I didn't get to talk about it as much as it really deserves. These are both memoirs by the incredible Janet Mock. She is a trans woman of color who grew up in Hawaii. She was the first person in her family to go to college, but both of these are about so much more than just overcoming adversity. They're really about her sharing every last part of herself and just telling her story exactly as it was meant to be told, exactly as she wants to tell it. Surpassing Certainty in particular is infinitely personal, and it just struck an incredible chord with me and has just stayed right here ever since I read it. I would advise, if you're interested in reading these, that they are chronological and Redefining Realness does come first, Surpassing Certainty is second, but they're both so good, you guys. And my last recommendation for today is Discontent and Its Civilizations, Dispatches from Lahore, New York, and London by Mohsin Hamid. This is another essay collection that I found particularly accessible because most of the essays here were originally published online, so they are quite short. This is also a pretty personal collection because he is talking about living in Pakistan, New York, and London, comparing and contrasting them, so there is a pretty personal thread running through it. But honestly, my favorite part of this book is the opening section, which is just titled Life, and one of the recurring questions in this section is actually just what it means to be a human being. And that's usually not a question that really interests me, honestly, but I don't know, his writing style, maybe coupled with just the way that he tackles these questions, I thought that this was a really phenomenal collection. And again, I think this would be a great first essay collection for anyone who's never read one before. So those are all of my recommendations for you today. Let me know your thoughts on these or if you plan on picking any of them up. And I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!